Welcome back to basics, where strength is born from simplicity. Meat, eggs, water, salt. That's it. That's it. That's enough. No powders, no potions, no pills, just a few your body remembers. Steak sears truth into your cells. Egg yolks feed the brain like sunshine. Song carries a signal. Water moves the flame. You're not just surviving. You're healing. Fueled by simplicity, fueled by clarity. Meat in my veins, I remember. Shed the noise, shed the lies. Do you know, red meat builds every cell in your body. Saturated fat powers your hormones. Every bite brings mitochondria to life. This is bioavailable truth. This is primal nutrition. This is how you rebuild. You've tried the superfoods, the green dust, the fiber traps. Still tired, still foggy, still inflamed. Meat doesn't lie, eggs don't gaslight. Water doesn't ask for loyalty points. So just works. Fueled by simplicity, fueled by certainty. The plate is primal, the fire is eternal. Back to the source, back to the strength. No labels, no records, just instincts reunited. Listen to your body whisper. More stay, less stress. Fueled by simplicity, fueled by sovereignty. This is more than a diet, it's a return to truth, to power, to love. Meat, eggs, water, salt. That's all it ever was. That's all it needs to be.
Else is sick and fucking tired of seeing all the carnivore shit all over these fucking apps. No one cares if you only eat meat. Every single one of you have to identify by carnivore fucking Connie, carnivore Ken, whatever the fuck your name is, and you add carnivore to the end of it on your fucking bio is fucking weird. Weird. You're literally treating your diet like a fucking religion. A religion. A meat religion. Okay? Like, what in the absolute meat fuck is this shit? Your fucking forts with your eggs and your cheese and your fucking butter and your dates. No one cares. You can't shit. Your fiber intake is fucking zero, and you think you're just fucking trudging through life getting all healthy. Get the fuck out of here. No one cares. Your meat fucking ass, your meat farts, your meat sweats. No one wants it.
Well, it's Sunday. It is time. The meat of the matter is here. We are here. Peter's here. Mark's here. And we want to thank everybody for chiming in and saying hi. Where are you chiming in from? We'd love to know in the chats. And a very special shout out to Byron Funk at Carnivore Beats for doing our music. That intro, I get a couple comments. Go subscribe to him on YouTube and on TikTok, laying it down carnivore style. And that gets us into today, what we're going to be talking about, boys. I think we've been talking throughout the week about all these the carbohydrates making comebacks and people quitting carnivores. We kind of touched on it a little bit last week with Brian and another mentioning the carnivore community worldwide on Instagram and YouTube as well. Please go subscribe to their channels. Great conversations. And also, we forgot to mention the village last week. The carnivore community worldwide has a village. It's a chat community group on Instagram. Everybody's chiming in to their opinions. It's great. Keep this community going. And speaking of community, guys, what is going on everywhere? Carnivores quitting. Carbohydrates are back on the menu. Firstly, how are we doing today, boys?
I'm doing well. Not for me, buddy. They're staying out. They're staying out on my diet.
Yeah. Well, Peter, and you, my friend, what's
no carbs yet. So no bananas, no chocolate.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, it's quite crazy. I was just having a little communique with one of our friends of the show, Philip Wynn, who has done great things with psoriasis. He's reversed a lot of like a horrible psoriasis condition. And he's like, what do you mean? What's going on? And I was like, yeah, man, it's all over YouTube, all over this. And, you know, we're going to get into this today, especially guys in the chats. Hello, everybody. I think, in my opinion, it's very, very, we have to be very careful about this clickbait and really what this all means. And I mean, I'm a big proponent of ancestral eating, whichever way that sort of seems for you. Everybody's going to have nuance, but I think, you know, we've always tried to not be dogmatic. And I mean, Peter, you've done some experiments that have been pretty fantastic. And being a type 1 diabetic with the carbohydrate issue, I think you've got some good chops to bring to the table. But it's quite funny how, you know, all of a sudden this gives ammo to the other side. I mean, I just was kind of watching about what the vegans were saying about it, and it's like they're loving it. They're all like, "Oh, now it's all good." And I think that one of the things that, and I'll ask you guys about it, is we have to realize what these are. These are thumbnails and titles, and people's diets are different. And I mean, the carnivore diet compared to eating like a human is something that we can we don't want to take too out of context. And I'm gonna admit it. Everybody, I said carbohydrate comeback on the thumbnail. People are like, "What do you mean?" And it's like, unfortunately, this is the world we live in. We got to kind of have to instigate the conversation. But what are your thoughts to start it off, Mark?
Well, my thoughts are this. If I was speaking to these people, the question I would ask is, why are you adding them back in? That's simple as that. Because in my opinion, if you're adding them back in, you were never fully healed in the first place. That's my opinion. Now, if you're experimenting like what Peter's done or what other carnivores has done, then that's fine, because I've done it myself. Yeah. But for me, I'm never going to be a moderator. I'm always going to be an abstainer. That's the way we see it. You're either a moderator or you're an abstainer. I can't moderate these carbohydrates anymore. You know, I mean, I have friends in the carnivore community. Al Reeves is a good friend of mine. He's metabolically flexible. He can get away with eating carbohydrates. I can't eat, like, say, 30 or 50 grams of carbohydrates on a daily basis, because if I do, that's just going to set me off. It's going to send a signal to my brain. Sugar's coming here. It's going to light up my brain, and I'm just going to want more. So that's the first question I would ask. I would ask, okay, why are you adding these foods back in? Okay. And if they're saying, well, I struggle, I'm thinking about these foods all the time, well, that tells me you haven't got over your addiction problem. Yeah, that's it, simple. But if you're experimenting, that's completely different.
Yeah, and Peter, going towards, like, you I don't know how much you want to divulge, but like you had a little episode this, like, getting out of the summertime. What happened to you? And just
well, I can tell about that later maybe, but I totally recognize, first of all, what Mark said, that for a lot of people, and for me as well, to some degree, it's just dangerous to reintroduce carbohydrates, because you'll get addictive behaviors that get triggered again. For me, being a type 1 diabetic, that's a sort of safeguard, because I'll be confronted on a daily, hour-by-hour basis. Every time that I eat it, I'll get high blood sugars from it, or uncontrolled blood sugars, I have to say. Yeah. But yeah, in my opinion, it's all a bit of a storm in a glass of water, basically. On one side, on the other side, we're talking about influencers that should realize that they are sort of posing an example. So if they start to introduce carbohydrates because they are at a weight loss stall, or they have some thyroid marker that is slightly elevated, maybe even within range, but slightly on the high side, that sort of stuff, that they should be very clear about that they are just trying something, and it might even help them personally, but that they should realize that a lot of people get triggered by it. They'll also do thyroid measurements, and if they are slightly on the upper or lower side, they'll start to think that they have the problem as well. That sort of things.
Yeah.
What did I want to say? Yeah, no, I lost it a little bit, but no. Let me get back to it.
Can I?
It causes a bit of dementia, apparently, but
Too much sugar, Peter. What the hell is going on?
Can I just add one more point, Tony, before you speak? The sugar diet. Where is it now?
No doubt.
Haven't heard from it in months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
think-
So that wasn't going to last, was it?
Yeah, no doubt.
So what I'm saying is, the people that are introducing the carbohydrates in, it's not going to last. Unless you're one of these people that you're burning it off. You're like a Paul Saladino. You have the lifestyle. You know what I mean? This shit is going to catch up on you eventually. It's just a matter of time.
And I think what Jonathan is saying right now, what they're feeling is scaremongering. And I want to touch on that side of it is, full disclosure, I eat ice cream once in a while because I love it. And I'm able to now to enjoy a treat, but I'm under no preconception that it's good. I'm under no, I don't tell myself I need it. I think, I'm ultra aware. I'm intuitive. I was sugar addicted, and I have to navigate that with a very slippery slope. Like I have to be super, every time I do it, I have to see how I feel, how I sleep, how the next day goes. And I don't think, it's just a gateway to add sugar back in. This is just, I'm a human, and I have a treat once in a while, and I'm not perfectly strict carnivore. It's okay, but I'm not broadcasting the fact that I can do it, because it depends on your context. If someone's sugar addicted, this is disastrous. If someone's just starting this way of eating, and then all of a sudden somebody's giving them permission, because we all know we read headlines and we read titles. We don't go into the nuance. And I think that's where it's very dangerous with all this stuff, especially with my clients. I mean, they see these headlines and then they ask me, "Hey, is this okay now?" And it's like, well, it never was, and if we're looking at from an ancestral, proper human diet perspective, these things, and tying back into Jonathan's comment about scaremongering, look where this is coming from. Who's saying it? What's saying who's saying what? And if you're getting pushed into a position of allowance, like it's okay to, where are you sitting? And for all the people that are trying to figure themselves out, in my opinion, we need to get back to basics, build a foundation, get back to where you're metabolically and genetically predispositioned to be as a human. And then obviously we have a lot of distractions and a lot of things that we can open up and enjoy our lives within your own context. And I think that's the biggest thing. And all these people we're always put into these boxes where it's everybody's the same, and it's just not true.
No.
And
and that's why. So now I remember what I wanted to say about this whole thing being a storm in a glass of water. But what most people don't realize is that we were already doing these things, most of us. And you say rightfully so, Tony, as a coach, you don't advertise broadly that you are eating the ice cream. Maybe you do it every week or whatever. I don't know. But once you tell those things, of course, people get the idea, I can do that as well. While they are in their first few months of carnivore, and that doesn't help them.
Yeah.
So it's a very fine line of trying to present a nuanced picture where you are not so strict about things, but at the same time, you have to be very careful. So if I see Dr. Kiltz personally, but I am already a carnivore for 3 years, I see a guy that is, well, he's confronted with CAC scores and whatever you think about it, he decides to take action, to change a little bit in his diet, or maybe it just triggered him to be a little bit more open-minded. That was a bit of the atmosphere in his video. Like we have to be less conflicting, a bit be open-minded, add in the broccoli and the fish and all those things.
Yeah.
And that, in my opinion, that's what it means actually to be a carnivore. A carnivore is just somebody that eats a lot of meat, basically. And because you're a carnivore, you also focus on a lot of other things like low carb and all things beside diet, of course. But yeah, that's maybe a thing that I want to go to later. But in my opinion, that's part of the problem. We are defining carnivore as something being not just meat only, but also exclude every vegetable, exclude coffee, exclude any carbohydrates. So what about milk, by the way, and dairy? Full of carbohydrates. But so it's confusing because carnivore. Well, I've been looking at the Instagram page of Hope Michelle. That's a person. She was quite critical about everything happening in the carnivore space recently. But one thing I agree with her on is that you should actually maybe define carnivore as sort of hyper carnivore. So all people are eating more than, say, 70-80% of meat. They are carnivores. And if you are, well, by nature, then you are automatically low carb, I guess. But you can include like a ketovore style, a bit of vegetables, as long as, well, it makes sense, of course, if you only do it if you're not sensitive to it. Yeah. You include coffee or not, and that type of things. And all the rest, excluding those things, focusing on the autoimmune part and food intolerances, grounding, circadian rhythm, that's health optimization. That's nothing to do with carnivore, basically. Yeah. And fasting and OMAD. Who cares? Yeah. It's nice to talk about it, but it doesn't define carnivore, basically.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think that like the nuance, Peter, that you're touching on there is important, because if you think about it, like you said, that obligate hypercarnivore, if you look at that by definition, it's 70% of your calories or your food come from meat and fat of animals. Sure. That 30% would be based on where we're living, would be based on our season, based on availability, based on what nature is providing. And I think that's a very big part that people forget, that all this stuff is created by man cannot be better than what Mother Nature intended. It's just the way it is. I'm sorry, people want to yell at me all you want, but it's true. You know, if you were by the ocean, you would probably gravitate more to a seafood, like what you could catch and what you could find. I mean, I just had mussels last night. I'll tell you what, I don't need mussels again tomorrow. But if I was dying and starving and I had mussels available on the coastline, I would be using it as a survival food and you know, then looking for something else. But I mean, obviously, with all of our distractions and all this, I have a radar. As soon as people start talking about stuff, I just start backtracking to go, where would we be without it? Where would we be if you couldn't? Where would we be if you had to? Those questions are very, you know, they're serious questions that you have to ask yourself. And I think before you just start jumping down and saying blueberries are the best food ever, where would they have been?
That's where it all comes down to. Like all these foods that they're saying that we should be eating. Like what benefits are we getting from these foods? Like what are we getting from these foods? You're only eating these foods because you're addicted. That's all it is, because you enjoy them. That's all it is. There's nothing else. There's no nutritional value in these foods whatsoever. They're not going to do anything for your body whatsoever. They're not going to give you any. You might get some energy out of them, but it's not going to last for long. Now, so you're not getting any benefits whatsoever.
Now Victoria is saying some stuff, and we promised we would keep nothing off the table. And let's get controversial here. How do you guys in the chat feel about Dr. Kiltz? It, it makes Victoria sad. Victoria knows what she's talking about. She's been, she's the carnivore diet after age 40 on Facebook. Anybody who's that's a great Facebook group, and Victoria lays it down. And this is interesting. So how do you guys feel about this? Because this is what Victoria's saying. Kiltz is trying to backpedal, and she's going to ignore him. He's lost credibility. And that's a big statement because Dr. Kiltz has changed a lot of lives. Yep. And, what do you think about that, Peter?
Yeah, well, so I was also curious. I read here in the comments as well that apparently he has also been adding in potatoes. Mm-hmm. So that's already, I didn't know that, but so I thought it was just a bit of broccoli. What to say about it? It just makes no sense. You present a certain way of living, certain ideas for I don't know how long he's doing it, 10 years probably. And when you introduce, when you tell something like this, that's a huge change. Mm. And, it makes no sense.
Well, I think everybody's got to be I didn't buy into it. I saw all the titles, I saw all the headlines, and I was laughing to myself. Ken Berry talked with Kelly Hogan. I didn't even bother watching it because Kelly Hogan's not me. I know her story. I know what she's done. And whether she eats a potato or not, I don't really care. It's not something that I'm going to be drawn towards. I'm worried about the people that are just trapped into following somebody, and what they do. And I've always urged people that are new to this to follow somebody, pick somebody
that's what I'm always saying to people who I work with. I'm like, oh, listen, because they're listening to all these influencers on social media. I'm like, okay, you just need to listen to me. You shouldn't be listening to anybody else. I'm telling you what you need to do. Yeah. But people will always say to me, oh, but this carnivore said this, and this carnivore said this, and this carnivore said I can take this. And I'm like, well, that's them. Yeah. You know what I mean? You need to go by what I'm going to say to you. We're working on you. We need to find the right solution for you. You need to understand that why you're coming to me in the first place. You have a food problem. You have a metabolic problem. So forget about what they're doing. And that's what I don't like. That's what I don't like about these influencers and Dr. Kiltz and what was the other lady's name?
Kelly Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, we've been listening to these people for ages, and they've given us all the information. I'm a big, massive fan of Dr. Kiltz. Huge fan. I still am, to be honest. Yeah. But his credibility has gone down a little bit because he was the one that I fell in love with. He was telling me all about carnivore. He taught me everything about infertility and endometriosis and fibromyalgia. So I learned an awful lot off this guy. Yeah. So I owe pretty much my coaching business to this guy because I've learned an awful lot of him.
You know what, that Mark, you said that something great because I was a Paul Saladino fan. Paul Saladino was the one that kind of drove me to the mechanisms, to the science. And then, that led me to Bart Kay. And then I started getting, I read Ben Bickman's book. I learned about the science and the biochemistry and the physiology. But when he went to Africa, came back eating honey and fruit, I was like, this is not me. But I was at the point where I could start to, think for myself. And it was great introduction. I read his book, was great, The Carnivore Code. And then now it's gone this way. That's him. That's what he does. And I agree with almost everything Paul Saladino says for him. But when he starts talking about you should, that's when I'm like, okay.
Well, that's the problem.
Well, I recommend everybody to watch the video of Kerry Mann. Probably many have already seen it, but he made a comparison of being Paul Saladino, a Ferrari car. Yeah. And you put in a lot of petrol. And many of us are garbage trucks, basically. So we shouldn't do the same as Paul Saladino. I never got it. It's you don't follow an influencer for what he is doing exactly.
It was honestly,
you learn from them, and that's it.
Yeah, and it was just one quick point, Tony. Same with Mark Bell. I was a massive Mark Bell fan about a year ago. I loved his philosophy. He worked with an awful lot with Robert Sykes, the Keto Savage. So I was a massive fan of Mark Bell. I watched all his videos. I used to listen to all his podcasts. He used to be a strong believer in the carnivore diet. But then when he transitions into the sugar diet, I was like, okay, I've been following you for a long, long time. You've let me down. Yeah, and like you said, Tony, I don't mind these people experimenting them on themselves, but it's when they reach out to a big audience and they're saying, okay, this does amazing things for you.
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off. That's what gets me going.
And it gets back to friend of the show. He's been on our show before, Eddie Goki. He's sort of like the Bart K side of things. And I hate saying camp because we don't like to be dogmatic, but it's that contraindicated word. So contraindicated means what would be most likely? Where would that take us? And I think a lot of the stuff that the people that I follow for the science compared to the people that I follow for the personality or the influence, even our show, like, I mean, what we're doing, we're trying to give our opinions. We're not doctors. We're not scientists. We're trying to just provide 3 different outlooks on some things that happen. And, I don't expect everybody to agree with me 100%, but I really try and stay, with a wide angle lens and look at everything. And you can just see this momentum. Then it starts, and I mean, hey, conversation. All the people will, for instance, we'll look at the carnivore community. Jonathan's a big part of it. Mark, you're a big part of it. I've been around. Peter's been around it. We've all got different ways. And some of us agree with some things, and some people do other things that aren't what Mark does. But it doesn't mean where someone's coming in, for instance, to help, Mark's going to coach them, or I'm going to coach them, or Peter's going to help them with diabetes. That's their story, and they have to find out for themselves. And I think that's what this snowball effect is. We look at these people as arguably heroes, like what would happen if Sean Baker tomorrow said, hey, I'm bringing back in ice cream. And I don't mean ice cream. I mean, like, I've just decided to eat Breyer's chocolate ice cream.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Sean Baker, and just imagine how far it goes. The fear mongering and the wrong perception. Sean Baker had some constipation while being on holiday because he started to eat a little bit of vegetables in the restaurants, and above all, a lot of French cheese. And I think a lot of us know that if you eat like half a pound of cheese on a day and you don't add in fibers, so that's one benefit of fiber, is that it will help to get rid of things like cheese. If you don't have it, cheese on itself is constipating. And I don't know, Sean Baker probably had like a weak problem of constipation or so. Yeah. But then you look on Instagram pages like this, the one of Hope Michelle, and I have nothing against her. So I actually agree also with a lot of things that she says, but she still also picks out the story of Sean Baker. Yeah. And I think she realizes the actual situation, but people read this and it gets blown up. And it's just like the time that Sean Baker did this experiment for 2 weeks of eating fruit. And also there, you saw it everywhere on Instagram.
And I mean, I try experimenting. I'm not afraid of vegetables anymore. Like, I mean, I know what they do. They don't really, I don't even consider them food. I just consider them like, if I'm at my mom's house, I'll have a bit of salad. I don't really, it's nothing to me. It doesn't matter. I just do what I do 95% of the time. And I try to navigate my space according to it. And I'm not afraid of fruit, but it does nothing for me. I don't eat it and go, oh my God, I miss it. That's, I ate an apple off a tree this year, and I thought, oh, I haven't done this for years, and I didn't enjoy it. I took a couple bites and I was like, I'm over it. It does nothing. So
only Mark is a real carnivore still among us, or
yeah. The only thing that Mark's a closet pan eater. He's gonna eat the pan soon. And that's how he gets his iron.
No, but I was like you guys. As I said, I have experimented, but it just doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. Like, for me, I always struggled with my food. And now I understand why I struggled with my food, because I had a major addiction, and I didn't realize it, and I'm not going back to that.
And if you before we get into the video that Peter chose for this week, I think it's the top 5 reasons people quit carnivore. We'll chat about that. I just wanted to touch on that point, Mark, too, because there's a Canadian geneticist. His name's Dr. Michael Rose, and he hear me out. It's not humans, but it's fruit flies. And because he can test generations of fruit flies, thousands of generations in a small amount of time, what he found is sort of like his whole, I'm going to sum it all up for you really quick, was the older you get, the closer you get to a species-specific diet gets more and more important. So basically, the flies that sort of deviated from their own diet didn't last as long. But there was a point, if you get back to what you're supposed to be eating, you live longer. And that's the long-winded part of it. And you see frailty, osteoporosis, age, people aging very quickly. I think there's that window that we get stuck in. Something that a 23-year-old can get away with is not going to be the same thing for a 65-year-old. So I think that's something we all have to realize is what the body needs. I think we can all agree is meat and fat, and the rest is very, very subjective and nuanced for sure.
Just in the meantime, I'm curious if Rick ever ate half a pound of cheese. He never had constipation. But...
And you made a very, very good point at the start, Tony, when you mentioned about the vegans. They're all having a well of a time now looking at this, but it was only a matter of time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was only a matter of time when people were looking at the carnivore diet. We're seeing how many people were doing well, but they were all over social media saying that it's a fad. It's only a matter of time. These people are going to go back to carbohydrates, and now they're jumping all over it. They're jumping all over it at the moment.
Yeah, and you know, it's like if a carnivore dies, it's the diet. You know, if a vegan goes frail, withers away, and melts away to nothing, well, they were broken. And that's kind of funny how that works, right?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Do you guys want to, we'll get into this video. I'm going to share my screen, so bear with us, guys. We're trying some new technical advancement here on the Meat of the Matter. And I'm going to try and see what we can do here. I got that. Okay, let's open it up. How's that looking? Good. Okay, let's play this. And you guys, if you want me to stop it, you just let me know, okay?
I'm seeing videos everywhere online, people talking about why people are quitting the carnivore diet. I actually did a reel about this not long ago, and I had a whole bunch of people tell me I was crazy because no one's quitting the carnivore diet. And now suddenly here we are a few weeks later, and a whole bunch of people have released videos talking about people quitting the carnivore diet and wondering why. Today I'm going to tell you the top 5 reasons I think people are quitting the carnivore diet and why I'm really encouraging them to reconsider. Let's dive into it today on Chris Cookin' Nashville.
That's what we need, guys.
Yeah. Some explosions.
How some people thrive on carnivore. They seem to be the epitome of health. They are glowing. They feel amazing. All of their diseases are being reversed. They're losing weight. They look fantastic. And then all of these other people who are on social media, they're all on board with carnivore. They just vanish. They fall off, they disappear from the community, they say it didn't work for them, or even worse, they were shamed out of continuing. Today, I'm going to break down the top 5 reasons I think people are quitting the carnivore diet. And while there are a lot of people who are getting on board, there are also a lot of the newbies, especially that I see on social media, that are leaving. I'm going to tell you guys right now, number 5 on this list might make you a bit uncomfortable, but I think it's important we talk about it.
It's a good point, right? That it's a lot about the newbies.
Number 1 is social pressure and isolation. Yeah. The first reason is simple, but it's pretty brutal, and that is the social pressure of trying to do carnivore in a world that kind of doesn't understand it. You start eating meat only, and suddenly everyone in your life is an expert. Your parents are worried about cholesterol. Your friends all think you've joined a cult. Your doctor tells you that's not sustainable or healthy. Every dinner, every family meeting, every lunch at work, all of it puts extra pressure on you as the weird one. And unfortunately, every conversation about food can turn into...
Okay, yeah.
Well, he makes a very, very good point, because that's basically where I see. When you get into the carnivore lifestyle, everybody's looking at you and saying that you're a weirdo.
Yeah.
You're just a weirdo. I mean,
we've all seen it, man. You eat McDonald's, chips, Doritos. Every single one of us, I'm sure in the chats, has had that too. It's like, oh, you're going to kill yourself. What?
Yeah. But isn't it amazing? They're concerned about you eating this way, but they didn't give a shit about you when you were you were sick or you were struggling. They didn't give a shit. They didn't give a shit at all.
And every one of us, oh, come on, Peter, you're type 1 diabetic. You can have one cupcake. Just have one. Just have a
Yeah,
piece
well,
of cake.
mostly it's the other way around. And a lot of type 1 diabetics complain about it, like, oh, you can't eat sugar. And then they start to revolt, and they actually start to eat a lot of sugar out of activism. But
That's a good
yeah, I guess that
Right.
for some people, social pressure lasts very long. For me, it was like after half or 1 year, I just realized, like, oh, it's not necessary. I don't need to eat a birthday cake. I can eat even raw meat in some occasions, and that sort of things. But yeah, maybe you have to be a little bit crazy for that type of things. But yeah, and maybe also for a lot of people, certain things are important, right? So the FOMO aspect of being able to participate in the social gatherings in the normal way.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. So we're going to get into I'm just going to try and go to the point number 2 to see. Hold on one second, guys. Point number 2. Here's
Yeah,
a
by
big
the way, that's also what Lisa Wiedemann talked about in her video.
Yeah.
Was one of the arguments that she mentioned, like, yeah, food is also part of our
social.
how to say it? Yeah, social aspects
right,
and all
yes.
the celebration type of stuff.
For sure. All right. Reason number 2.
Health. Reason number 2 is lack of guidance and misinformation. The second and perhaps most frustrating reason that I see people leaving carnivore is because of the lack of guidance or assistance and misinformation, which just compiles with that to make it so much worse. When people start carnivore, they run into a lot of different voices. Eat organs, don't eat organs. Add dairy, don't add dairy. Too much protein, not enough.
Okay, let's touch with that, because that's a big one. Mark and I feel a lot. You know, and this comes down to getting help and hiring a coach. I mean, you're spending. I make this analogy a lot of times with my clients is how much is a Starbucks banana bread and a muffin and a venti triple calf latte oat milk special planted whatever the hell you're drinking is. That's what you don't need that. And when you get guidance, it helps you stay grounded. And you spoke about it before, Marcus. There's so much out there. How do you navigate?
I say this every single time when I bring somebody on board with me. You're not listening to anybody else apart from me.
Yeah.
That's it. You're coming to see me because you know I can help you. I do not want to hear about any other carnivore on YouTube or keto or anything like that. I don't want to hear it. You're coming to see me. Trust me for 3 months. If you don't get the results after 3 months, then you can talk to me about whatever you like. But if you're getting the results, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Simple.
And I mean, I often share things with my clients and with my community that I believe is valid, but it's quite often they'll share things with me that they'll say, hey, what about this? What do you think? And it's like, come on, you have to take it. You have to be where you're at is not where this person is talking about, right? So that's a big thing. And guidance, the carnivore community worldwide, Fitness Beyond Time 01, Dutch Carnivore.
Like I'll give you an example. Robert, where Robert, he sells the skincare bill. His wife, his wife reached out to me around 6 weeks ago, and she was really struggling to lose the weight. And she's dealing with histamine issues. She has this itchiness all over her body. She has this rash all over her body. And I was telling her, I said, listen, what's your macros? Tell me what you're eating. She was eating all the beef protein, and I said, well, listen, it's not working for you. Yeah. You need to come off that. You need to add in some more organs. You need to add in some more lamb, and let's see what happens. 6 weeks later, she went from 10% to 60%. We are definitely going the right direction. Awesome. Not only are we going in the right direction, she's lost 14 pounds in that 6 weeks. Yeah. Being on a higher fat diet, just making that slight change with our meats. That's all we did. I'll give you another one. I'm working with Selena. Everybody here knows who Selena is. Yeah. Now I only had this conversation with Selena. I only got off a phone call with Selena a few minutes ago. She's going through lipotoxicity at the moment. Now I'm convinced she is. Now, when you go through this issue, Everybody says that you need to be on a high fat diet on carnivore. It's going to work amazingly for everybody. No, it's not.
No.
Someone like Selena, I can guarantee you, her triglycerides are still very, very high eating a high fat diet. Now, if our triglycerides are high, guess what's going to happen to our insulin? Our insulin's going to be elevated. Okay. Now, if she's having this fat around her organs, especially the pancreas, guess what's going to happen? This is going to lead to fucking fatty liver disease.
Yeah.
So this myth about high fat that works for everybody is complete and utter rubbish. I have Selena on a high protein diet.
Yeah.
And that's how she's losing the body fat.
Okay.
And she's losing the body fat consistently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, if you're taking on a coach, you need to trust that coach.
Yeah.
Go all in and don't listen to anybody else.
And Jonathan made a good point here. Like, just put your ego aside. You know what? There's a lot of people out there that know what they're talking about. And a lot of people have different ideas that might resonate with you. And, you know, with me and the people that I'm coaching, they're putting their trust in me. And that's because they've liked what they've seen. And, you know, I've had results that have been, you know, I'm really battling right now my medical system thing. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of crap lately that's really pissing me off, and it's really hard to know how it's really hard to know that, you know, people can heal. They just are getting the wrong information, and they're doing the wrong things to give their body a chance. And sometimes it's not easy. And it's that time and that guidance. Mark, you're an experience. You've done this a long time. Peter, the same thing. People have done this for numerous years that have changed and adapted. And, you know, it's really important to be able to understand that just starting out and giving yourself 2 weeks because somebody on TikTok is telling you, just do this for 2 weeks and see what happens. That's not the point. It's not going to do anything for the long term. Just trying.
I'll give you another one, Tony. I was on TikTok last night, and the first video that came up was this young girl. She's only 16 years of age. She's going for surgery for endometriosis at the moment, and our parents were concerned about her, and they were asking for advice. And I just sent this woman a quick message, and I just said, "Listen, get your daughter onto me. Just get her onto me, because I know I can help her." I got rinsed on social media, so I was like, "Okay, what do I do here? I'm not gonna have these conversations." So I just made up a little reel this morning of 2 people that I've worked with, and I've actually spoke to someone in the carnivore space. That's all I did. Put it up on social media, tag these people in it. Haven't heard a word from them since.
No, of course not.
Haven't heard a word. And like I'm saying, like, do you not understand? There's the evidence in front of you. Like, what other evidence do you want?
Yeah.
Like, it's right in front of you. At least have the decency to come back to me and say, well, maybe you were right. Maybe I was wrong. But you won't get that because they're absolutely convinced that the mainstream media is right and these people are just lucky. And that's what really pisses me off. And it's not just 2 people that I've helped, Jordan, endometriosis. I've had endless people with fibromyalgia, PCOS. Well, you know what I mean? I've had women that struggle to conceive and have a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't keep on telling me that I'm lucky. When are you gonna get back to me and saying, well, maybe this guy actually knows what he's talking about. Maybe I might actually reach out and have a conversation with him and at least hear what he has to say.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so much nuance, but yet a lot of the stuff is waking people up to the fact that the systems are not on your side. We know that full on. If you think these experts telling you seed oils are okay, give your head a shake. Like, I'm sorry, but there is nothing in history, nothing in science that points to these things being healthy. It's all smoke and mirrors, and it's all bullshit. And I'm sorry, but that's the truth. If you can get away with it, that's one thing, but they are unnecessary in the human body. They have never been there. This is not what God and Mother Nature intended. So all you clap-trapping people that think they're okay or they're just, you can tolerate them, that's not the point. The point is they're doing damage, and they will do damage, and eventually, you know, they're poison. So let's get back to the video. Let's go to the third reason. And this one's kind of interesting. Hold on 1 second, boys. Give me 2 seconds. There we go.
Reason number 3, the adaptation funk. Number 3 is the adaptation period, which I'm calling the adaptation funk. And it can be, to say the least, a little funky for some people. You know the phase I'm talking about. The headaches, the fatigue, the dehydration, the muscle cramps, the weird gut issues, all of the stuff that makes you go, what is happening to my body? This can result in things like brain fog, really intense cravings, and all sorts of stuff that we have no skill set already developed to know how to handle. People hit this wall and they think, something is wrong with me. Carnivore must be a bad idea for my body. The truth is they're detoxing from things like years of bad eating, heavy carb hits, really high.
So
And see, that's
Yeah.
a big thing as well, because people don't
Yeah.
get that. The
Yeah.
detox, what they're going through, the symptoms at the very, very beginning, they don't like it.
yeah. And I mean, that's something that I think is underestimated. When they're saying adaptation, we assume it's 2 weeks. We say, oh, you're going to get fat adapted and
Yeah,
you're
well-
going to go into ketosis. And it's not 2 weeks. Your body.
Even worse. I mean, it's when we are adapted that it can still occur. Like
Of
1 or
course.
2 years in, you can eat a little bit of carbohydrates and get adaptation effects the other way around.
And I've
I've experienced it. I mean, it can take weeks, maybe even 1 or 2 months.
A lot of my clients are ladies over 60. And I'm really like, it's so important to get this message across is decades of unawareness, decades of possible damage and toxicity. It's not going away in 30 days. It's not going to happen. And your body's healing ability has to be, you have to remember it. Your body has to remember it and get into these things. And there's so many nuances here with nervous system. And when you're actually giving your body nutrients, that whoever the guy we're watching, is he said something there is your body's releasing toxins, your body's releasing things as it's healing. These things it's letting go of things. It can get really uncomfortable. And sometimes you have to really look at the situation. And, you know, it's like, for instance, Joe Rogan put it best, like explosive diarrhea, you know, and if you just look at it, there's no fiber, you're getting explosive diarrhea. Why? Because your body is going, we need to adjust. We're going
get rid of all this stuff. Yeah.
You know, and it goes away, but some people can they don't realize like if we just look at logic here, the microbiome, they say the microbiome changes within 24 hours. So that would mean if you eat something different than you're not usually eating, there could be a reaction and you could have diarrhea. But then people think that diarrhea that's caused by that one little change is a problem. And it's your body giving a symptom. It's saying, hey, we need to eliminate something. We need to do, and it, you know, you can back that up to oxalates and all these anti-nutrient toxicities. When the body's releasing this stuff, it can be horrifying. And I'm talking even all this craziness about parasites. Holy shit. Well, what do you think happens when you starve these parasites out and they come, like any way you look at it? You have to give your body the chance to.
Yeah, well, just another example, like ketosis. When you enter ketosis for the first time, or even worse, deep ketosis, you'll feel like sort of not just high and maybe energetic, but oftentimes also like before you go to bed or while sleeping, you'll feel a bit of stressed, almost like hyperactive or with heart palpitation type of things. But that's also a transition effect, and mainly a thing that you are not used to, this feeling of ketosis anyway. That's that sort of things.
And it's like getting in tune with your body is adapting in itself. Like what people don't realize when they say, well, I want to eat with intuition, I can do it now because I've been 6 years into my journey. And I've been hyper observing myself whenever I consume anything, whenever I'm exposed to anything now. If I'm in traffic and I'm walking down the street and I'm exposed to a bunch of exhaust, I watch myself how I feel in the next few hours. I'm just building my own awareness more and more about trying to be in tune with my body. And this takes time. This takes skills. That you
and And I think it's important that when you start doing this, you need to be consistent, because I know for me, when I got rid of my food addiction after 6 months, it wasn't until I was really, really strict eating this way.
Yeah.
I couldn't be a moderator. I had to be strict for consistently for 6 months in order to get over my food addiction.
Yeah.
That's how I successfully got through this. I didn't get through this after 2 or 3 weeks. This took a long, long time for me to heal. And I'm doing this over 5 years now, and I can tell you right now, my body is still healing.
Yo, for sure. And Mark, that's
100%.
It's still changing as well.
That's
just
a
besides the
huge-
healing.
That's a huge point that people miss. Now, I've started something that I'm going to get into in a later episode, and specifically with Fleur and I. We've started something because I think there's an X factor here that is very sinister, but it's the environmental chemicals, toxins, all these pollutions, all these things. They were not there when we were eating ancestrally. They were not there. And there's an X factor here with people that they don't understand your environment, your light hygiene, your sedentary lifestyle. If you're in an office compared to somebody who's a garbage man throwing things around, there's nuance. And I think that's the thing. And Jonathan just mentioned a good point here. I want to put it up there, that people that fall off carnivore are only in it for weight loss. I actually see that because people don't understand the big picture. And when you get that carnivore clarity that I know a lot of us in the comments, we all have, it becomes way more than weight loss. And I'll tell you, every single one of my clients starts out that's come to me for weight loss. There's a switch. As soon as they go, holy shit, this is way more than weight loss.
And what's also suspicious is that if certain people will follow carnivore and they'll stick to animal-based, and some will stick to ketovore or relatively low-carb diets, but a lot of them will go to like 200 grams of carbs. And that's a big red flag as well, because usually if you have transitioned well enough into the carnivore diet, you've experienced so much, you've learned so much that a lot of it, you won't throw it away anymore. Yeah. So usually, I mean, in a way, I could imagine that if, for some reason, I mean, it probably won't happen, that I would eat some vegetables in the future. But I would never go back to a high-carb diet, that's for sure.
No. Yeah.
I mean, maybe under certain circumstances, a vegetable, yes. But so yeah. Those people, you see it a lot among young people as well, like those people that they are actually not in it for weight loss, they are more in it for the culture and the raw meat stuff and all these things, and they always stop at some point because they have to leave the house, their parents are not there anymore, they have to have their own income and all those things, and nothing sticks. They don't keep anything of this diet.
But you know what the biggest factor for me is? I don't want to be like anybody else anymore. Like, I don't want to be like the average 50-year-old walking around in bleeding pain, you know what I mean? Or getting aggressive or getting angry or getting anxious around food anymore. I don't want that shit in my life anymore. Yeah. I'm at a stage in my life, everybody wants to be happy, but they don't understand where that true happiness comes from. For me, it comes from what you feed your body, because that's where it all starts from. Because at the end of the day, we have a massive, massive problem with mental health in the world at the moment. Yeah. Everybody's blaming it on other stuff, but why don't you not just blame it on what you're eating? Well, why don't you not look deeper into what you're eating? At the moment, anger issues are a huge thing in the world at the moment. You only need to look at what happened to Charlie Kirk. Freedom of speech now is you can't even talk to people anymore. You know what I mean? It's getting crazy.
We're getting into but that's a very big important thing, and I mean that's something that we touched on last week with this bullshit Eat Lancet, is they are wrecking your brain. They're not, your neurotransmitters aren't firing properly. Your hormones are completely out of whack. And I mean, if you don't think the food, or not food that you're putting in your body is not affecting your brain, well, that could be your first problem, right? It's like, that's not good. So if you can just get over yourself and realize that every single thing you do affects you, eating a proper human diet that brings ultimate nutrition is going to give you a good leg up. And there's going to be some adaptations that you're going to have to work through. And I think that's where we all get, like, everybody is different, but yet we're all the same. And I think that's the thing. When I'm working with people, I don't want them on the carnivore diet. I want them on their diet that they can do that is the best for them. And, you know, like to really, really get really into yourself. And no, I can't tell you salmon makes you feel good. I can't. You know, you can write a diet plan all day long, but if somebody has a histamine issue, if somebody has an allergy or an intolerance, you can't just make them drink raw milk and say it's the best. So it's very nuanced, right?
Yeah, and then realize that diet is like, I don't know, of course, it's the major contributing factor to your health. Say
Absolutely.
It's 80% or so.
You can control,
80%,
right?
but but it's 80%. But there are other things like the environment that we talked about, and there are a lot of toxins. But that's the other 20%, and lifestyle, circadian rhythm, and all those things.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't mean that anything that is wrong with your health comes from that 80%.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds intuitive, maybe if you don't think about it a bit longer. But if everything is right with that diet and you're not sleeping well, then that 20% there's something really, really very wrong. And I think actually that a lot of influencers have problems, might have problems elsewhere.
Yeah.
And in their lifestyle, and
I mean,
it's so easy to think that it's the diet.
I mean, the whole thing. If anybody does, I would encourage you to go watch a couple talks by Dr. Jack Kruse. I mean, his idea about light, it's very powerful. Do I agree with everything he says? He's a neuroscientist and he's decentralized, which I love. But he's talking about we are underestimating the power of this blue light toxicity and the screens and I mean, Andrew Huberman's talked about like the dopamine hit about us being focused on a cell phone is probably not a good idea before you go to bed and when you wake up. I mean, giving your body a natural wake cycle and sleep cycle is like so much more to it than diet. But diet would affect it, like you're saying, Peter, for sure. Well, let's get to reason number 4. And here we go. One sec here.
Reveal. Reason number 4, the monotony, the logistics, the Chris Cooking Nashville universe of things that I do to help. Reason number 4 is nothing more than the real world grind. And let's be honest, eating steak and ground beef and eggs for some people can become extremely boring and monotonous. They can taste amazing one day, and by day 300, you don't want to see them at all. You start daydreaming about variety, wishing you could have something else. And the reality is, whether that's right or wrong is irrelevant. It's true for a lot of people. Whether they should or shouldn't be that way is not for me to decide. If I'm going to help people, I need to admit what they're actually struggling with, and I've got to figure out how to give them solutions.
Okay. Well,
personally, I don't think this is an issue if you have transitioned well enough into carnivore. This shouldn't play any role.
I agree. I feel fucking best eating steak and eggs. And when my body says you need something, I get these I wouldn't say cravings, but this is like, you need to eat some seafood now. You need to have some wild sockeye salmon, sashimi. You need to have some raw oysters. And then I'm over. I love it. And then I'm done for a long time. But I mean, and even when I've been hearing about people getting meat aversions and egg aversions, and I think everybody's different. But when your body is getting the things that it needs and you're riding on that intuition, you're giving yourself enough time, I think that's really, really that's like a false flag. It's like your body, what the hell would we have done with none of this shit around? What would you have done? You know what you probably would have done? You probably would have fasted.
By the way, the variation, in what form does it come? It's always carbohydrates.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's an issue, it's always carbohydrates.
Yeah.
There's nothing else out there. It's just carbohydrates.
When I want something different from steak and eggs, I make a roast beef. Or when I want something different than steak and eggs, I make an omelet. Like that's, I'm actually, shout out to Fleur and I, we're creating 30 ways to eat your eggs for a reason. I'll get into that later. But it's crazy what you can do with an egg, man. From sauces to breads to all this shit. It's unreal.
But I don't know about you, Tony, but for me, the reason why I sometimes eat other meat basically is because I find other meat at the butcher.
Yes.
Nothing more than that.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I love making bacon chips and eating them. Like
Oh
it's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
But the problem is, I only do that when I haven't eaten enough. And
yeah.
that's like, and I eat a lot of meat, man. I try and eat as much as I can and cook extra, and then I end up snacking on it all night. But I don't really consider it snacking. I just consider it I'm eating, right? But
Yeah, yeah. My thing now at the moment is bacon and pork belly. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like I was a big fan of red meat, but now I've introduced a little bit of bacon now every now and again, and oh my god, pork belly as well. Oh my,
yeah,
oh
no
lovely,
doubt. And
absolutely, really, really nice.
realistically, if a lot of people out there are their B1 is compromised for sure, and pork's super high in B1, so it makes sense, right? Like if you think about every single thing you do in your life depletes B1, it's probably a good idea to eat the foods that's high in B1. And I'm talking, we have a sip of coffee that's depleting your B1. We're talking right now, we're depleting our B1. So I'm a big, obviously is the best pork you can afford. Quality would matter because, the monogastric stomach, but I agree with you, Mark. I think you go ebbs and flows, and while you're doing it, it's easy to say. Most people that are new will say, well, I can't just do that because it's so mundane and monotonous. They're looking, like Peter said, they're looking for the carbs. They want some, and what blows my mind, go eat a baked potato then with no butter and sour cream. Go do it. Go choke down a cup of pasta without butter and without sauce. Go eat your white rice without a sauce or some vegetable or anything on it. Yeah, right. Good luck. All right, let's get into the fifth reason that everybody would be surprised, I think. Hold on. Here we go.
Itself. Reason number 5 is something I'm calling the 90-10 principle. This one is inspired by my love of magic from when I was growing up. There's this principle magicians talk about where when a magic trick is performed, if someone is fooled by 90% of the trick, but they see one little move and maybe 10% of that trick, they know how it's done, they discount it and they say, I know how it's done, I wasn't fooled. Even though 90%, they can't actually figure out what was being done. But a magician, someone who's on the other side, who respects the work of a fellow magician, who really understands the work that it takes to be successful performing a magic trick, they look at the exact same trick. And if they know how 90% of that trick is done, but there's one thing that the magician does, the little 10% that they can't explain, they will tell you that the trick fooled them. For them, it's like seeing the magic all over again. This idea is called respect for mastery.
Anyway,
something
we get it. Let's talk about that rule.
People in the community seem to have lost sight of.
Yeah, in two ways, actually, this plays a role. So first in being positive or negative. So if you negatively focus on that 10%, but also the fact that that 10% simply distracts you. So even if you don't have a negative opinion about it. And I always think about during university lectures, there was always this one student, the teacher was talking about maths, and then 10 minutes later, he would raise his finger and say like, but sir, there is a minus sign missing over there. So there's an entire story. And then the entire lecture hall has to hear about this silly detail.
Yeah. Well, coming from a sugar addicted person, Mark, how do you feel about the 80-20, 90-10, whatever?
I only put a video up yesterday, I think, about this, and yeah, no, for me, I couldn't go back to it. I'm just not going to be a moderator. It's just it's impacted my life too much, and honestly, I envy people that can do it.
Yeah,
like I do. There's a lot of people out there that I have good friends of mine that can eat like 50 grams of carbohydrates, and I'd be looking at them, and I'm like, how can you do this? Like, it's just like putting a piece of chocolate in front of you and just saying, okay, eat one piece, but you're not allowed to eat the bar.
Yeah, right. Like,
it's not going to happen.
And they're even telling you this, like the Lay's potato chips, and that's like, I bet you just can't eat one. Think about that. What the hell does that mean? That means, you dummy, you're gonna be. It's like buy the bag, man, and then they'll fool you with serving sizes about like, oh, all this is in 3 chips. Good luck, right? Like you got to be kidding me. So I think
but I think Chris is right here, right? That if there's an influencer that starts to eat a little bit of broccoli, that's 10%.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't focus on that so much and think like they stopped with carnivore, basically. I mean, I think that's a really good point.
I think that's very true. And I mean, everybody's got their nuances. And I mean, like you just have to look at oxalates. We know they exist. We know they can be a very serious issue for some people. Some people have a higher tolerance, or they may not be experiencing the same kind of thing. And, it's anti-nutrients are there in plants too. So everybody's saying, oh, the broccoli doesn't love you back, people. Like, you may enjoy it, but it does not. And if you're eating your vegetables for all the nutrient density, well, your gut's probably got another thing coming. Not to mention, the older you get, the worse your gut and the worse you've been consuming grains and all the crap that we've been force-fed. That's going to put you in a different context. And I'm sorry, but you have to realize what's possible. And I think a lot of people focused on everybody being the same. And it's like our living standards, our environments, our circadian rhythms are all different, and they're all being influenced in certain ways. That summer squash may be Peter's poison, Mark's pleasure, and my pain. And that's, the truth of it, right? Well, boys, I think we had a good one today. I think I want to say thanks to all the people that are in the comments. Guys, we really appreciate you being here. We're trying to get this message across, spread out. We are not quitting carnivore. I am not including carbohydrates as a necessity or a rule. We're going to keep up trying to push this message. Mark's going to be fighting tooth and nail on social media. Peter preaching his beautiful type 1 diabetes help and advice.
Yeah, type 1 diabetics have a carb issue as well, because I actually talked about it today in the video. They find excuses as well to introduce a lot of carbs.
Yeah, good. Well, boys, Mark, any final thoughts? Where can people find you? And let everybody know.
No, just again, guys, thanks for listening. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, just I'm on social media at fitnessbeyondtime01. And if you'd like to send me an email, you can send me an email at nsmark93@gmail.com.
All right, Peter.
I will be the Dutch carnivore for a bit longer still. So, and you find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. On YouTube, I'm also making some English stuff. I hope to put some more type 1 diabetic content out in English. And you can reach me at realdutchcarnivore@gmail.com.
I love your Dutch videos, buddy. I try and pick up try and understand it, and I keep wanting to write them down so I can ask you what this means. But it's pretty cool.
Well, with English translation, they can be fun, right?
Peter, you put up a video the other day, and I swear to God, I thought I was watching porn. I swear to. Did you see that video, Tony?
No.
Yeah, everybody wants to see that. Let's.
Peter, you need to send that onto Tony after this. Holy shit! I was watching it and I was like, "This is porn. This is." I'm not joking with you. Watch it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, let's just say
even the music in the background. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm getting this." This is doing something. This is doing something for me, buddy.
Well, we've got something better than eggplants and vegan eggplants. Let's summarize it. Like
Anybody who's struggling with their libido, just watch Peter's video.
Watch Peter. And speaking of which, guys, we really do appreciate all the comments, all the people hanging out with us every Sunday. We are live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in the UK, 7 p.m. in our UK, Ireland, 7 p.m. in the Netherlands and in continental Europe. And if anybody's interested, I am starting, Fleur and I got to give props to her. She's helping me out. We're going to be starting a newsletter, including this show in the newsletter and kind of trying to be proactive. just for the record, we're trying to get our shit together technically. Mark, Peter, and I are trying to find a way to kind of maximize our stuff. We've been doing this for a little bit, and we do, all of you guys that are helping us out, being here, we really appreciate it. But we're going to try and up the ante with production value. So please keep up. Thank you. We will see you next week. And if anybody's interested in my newsletter or the stuff that I'm coming, I think I'm going to be doing a challenge coming up soon. I'll probably mention it next week. It's kind of a 21-day reset kind of thing. You can find me at TonyStewartCoaching.com. It should be all coming out pretty quick. I just want to say thank you to these guys. Mark, always a pleasure. Peter, my brother, looking forward to your porn. Come hang out with us on Sunday, guys. We really appreciate you, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.